All right, let's cut across right now to Inna Sovsun. She's a Ukrainian MP. She joins us live right now. Appreciate, Ms. Sovsun, for you to join us at this point of time. 30 minutes from now, talks between your country and Russia are to take place at the Belarus border. I believe Ukraine, quite clear that you want an immediate ceasefire, but what is being picked up from the Russian side is an agreement to be reached.
Yes, so the talks have just started. We are waiting for the results. We are not extremely optimistic about that because we know for sure that every single word the Russians are saying is a lie. And basically all they want is just to destroy Ukraine as an independent state. But I think their plan and their intention initial has been really kicked off by the Ukrainian resistance, which they did not expect to that extent. They didn't expect that the Ukrainian army, which is, smaller overall in numbers than the Russian army, would actually be kicking their asses all over Ukraine. So they are willing to talk right now. The conditions upon which, or rather the demands on the Ukrainian side are actually pretty simple. They should just get out of our country. That is our single objective in those peace talks. So that is what we expect from the Russian side. Whether they would agree to that or not is a big question. Because yes, indeed, right now the Russian side is seeing great losses. So they have lost over 5,000 soldiers in just 4 days of war, which is unprecedented. If you look at other wars that Russia was fighting in, it would have taken years in other wars to lose that big a number of soldiers that they have lost in just 4 days of war against Ukrainian people. So I think that has forced their hand into peace talks rather faster than they would be expected to. But our single outcome that we shall be able to accept is their withdrawal from the Ukrainian territory. Nothing less than that would not be acceptable by the Ukrainian leadership, by the Ukrainian army, and by the Ukrainian people.
You are right to an extent. Your country is holding strong against the Russian invasion. Lots of unprecedented happenings that have taken place over the last 5 days of the invasion. But having said that, Ms. Sovsun, can Ukraine be that hard-nosed about an immediate ceasefire? Or is there a line that you are, or your country is willing to walk when you talk with Russians right now?
Let imagine anyone watching this that some country just started bombing your cities, and then they suggest that, okay, we can talk. I don't think any other country would have accepted anything less than full withdrawal of arms from your territory. We are within our right. We do have the right to defend ourselves. We do have the right to demand that they get out of our sovereign territory. So I don't think there is a middle line anywhere here, because the situation is basically like this. They want us dead, and we want to leave. It's very difficult to imagine a compromise between those two lines. We shall see what the Russian side suggests. We shall see what their offer would be. But feeling here on the ground, talking to the volunteers, talking to the military, talking to the territorial defense units, they will not accept anything less than just full withdrawal of the Russian army from the Ukrainian territory. We have suffered too much, and the injustice done to the Ukrainian people is just so grave and atrocious that accepting anything else than that would be extremely difficult.
Ms. Sovsun, if the ceasefire, which is what your country wants very clearly first, comes with riders, with a possible agreement, is Ukraine all right with it? Will they go with that?
Well, again, we shall have to wait and see what the Russians suggest, because my general feeling and my understanding of the Russian politics and the mindset of Putin is that they will suggest some things that would be completely unacceptable, like surrendering of the Ukrainian weapons or something else like that. They would not simply agree to the ceasefire just because they have come to the negotiations. They, as you heard from Putin, he doesn't believe Ukraine should exist as an independent state. So I don't think that they would offer something that would be acceptable to the Ukrainian side. I know I sound very pessimistic about the outcome of talks right now, but frankly speaking, we've been living with this neighbor for years now. We do know that they want us destroyed, and we'll see if they have changed their mind after all. But for the time being, I'm not overly optimistic about the talks. I would be very happy if bombs stop falling over Ukrainian cities, if they just withdraw. But we shall see whether the Russian side would agree to that.
Ms. Sovsun, clearly with what you've said in very clear words is that you're not very optimistic, Ukraine not very optimistic to the talks which have started right now at the Belarus border. But do you somewhere down the line at least see this as a beginning of talks, possibly starting today and over the course of hopefully the next few days, that you're willing to continue talking with Russia?
Well, we have to do that. We do have to talk. The question is about the result of that talks, and that is the major question. We have agreed to the talks. Our delegation did go there after all. That does mean that we are willing to talk. And of course, we don't want war on our territory. Trust me, no one is enjoying it here. The question is what their ask will be, and that we will have to wait and see for a couple of hours now that the talks are happening as we speak right now.
Would you continue to keep the hard stand that you are internationally asking for sanctions, asking countries to support you? Or will now, there will be a ceasefire of sorts in that as well, where you're going to look at maybe possibly finding a solution because there's a humanitarian crisis that you're facing as well?
We shall continue to ask for the sanctions from the world right now, because unless the sanctions are imposed for instance, you continue trading with Russia, that would mean that you would be giving Russia the dollars to buy weapons with which they will keep on killing Ukrainians. So any ceasefire from the Russian side would just be a trick in order for them to regroup themselves, to strengthen their military, and just to attack us with a new force. That is why, as long as they have the money to do so, they will do that. Like you have seen, that they want us destroyed. There is no other way for them to accept anything else than that. So yeah, we still continue asking for full-scale sanctions against Russia. They need to be held accountable for what they did to Ukraine. 16 young children died in those attacks. About 300 other grown-ups have died. So as long as anyone continues trading with Russia and supplying them with the money to buy weapons, they will use it against Ukraine. Even if not now, if they officially agree to the ceasefire, well, they will use it later. So they need to be punished for what they did to the Ukrainians, and they need to be made sure that they simply cannot sustain this war economically. If they will be able to sustain this war economically, they will launch it, even if not right now, but in the future anyways. So they need to be, we need to ensure that they simply do not have the means to continue this war against Ukraine.
Mr. Sovsun, Ms. Sovsun, the one question that needs to be asked of you, you make it very clear that it's non-negotiable. There has to be a ceasefire first. For the Russians, it's non-negotiable that you be part of NATO. Where does Ukraine stand on their, stand of joining NATO? Do you still stick by that?
Yes, we still stick by that. We are a sovereign state. We are within our right to define and to decide what we want to join, which alliance we want to join. And also, I might remind to the whole Indian audience that Russia attacked Ukraine in 2014 when we were officially a neutral state. So every time Russia is claiming that they are attacking Ukraine because we want to be part of NATO, I need to remind everyone watching this that they did attack us well before NATO was even like somewhere in the future, somewhere around. So this NATO argument is being just made up as not the real thing, propaganda that they're using. Just need to be we need to show for what it is. So the matter of fact is they're not attacking us because we want to join NATO. They're attacking us because they want us destroyed and they want us part of the former Soviet Union. That is what Putin said in his speech, that he thinks that Ukraine as an independent state was actually a mistake. So just for the whole Indian audience watching this to understand, Putin is lying when he is saying that he is attacking us because we want to be part of NATO. Actually, we want to be part of NATO because we know that he will be attacking us. So this causality is reversed. And I think that the number of people in Ukraine supporting joining NATO is actually growing as the war with Russia progresses from 2014. Because in 2014, we were not actually talking about joining NATO, but Putin did attack us. So that's just for you to understand. And when Putin is saying like that he will be satisfied with the neutrality status of Ukraine, he is just lying, because he did attack us in 2014 when we were officially non-allied state, a neutral state.
You know, ma'am, you do say that the reason why Ukraine wants to join NATO is because you fear a Russian invasion, that they've done it before, and the entire, the Minsk agreement, which is constantly brought forward by Russia, is a fig leaf, is what you're saying. But, in that aspect, I want to ask you, do you feel let down at all by NATO itself and other West countries at this point of time? Because other than supplying you weapons by some of the countries, not much help has come, especially where boots on grounds are concerned.
We do feel the support which is not enough. We are asking for more. Please send us more weapons. You can see how strong the Ukrainian army is. You can see how the motivated Ukrainian army is. So it is really, we are just asking for weapons. We're not even asking for troops on the ground, even though there are many foreign soldiers who are willing to come and join the foreign battalion, the creation of which was announced by the president, was yesterday, I think. So there are many foreigners coming, but as individual soldiers who are just willing to fight for democracy in Ukraine here against the dictatorship in Russia. But as for other support, the biggest thing that we are asking from NATO now is ensuring a no-fly zone over Ukraine, because those attacks from air are just atrocious. They are extremely burdensome on the civilian population. It is so much against any decency, any human decency, any respect for human life, that the biggest thing we're asking for, not
right.
true. We are established.
All right. So, ma'am, you say that you do feel let down by certain West countries and NATO in terms of supplying of arms. That is what you're looking at. I want to ask you one final question. When you're on the talking table with Ukraine and Russia today, what happens to those independent territories which are recognized as Russia by independent territories? What does Ukraine stand on that?
It is Ukrainian sovereign territory. That's as simple as that. It is part of Ukraine. Not a single state has recognized those as independent state, and we continue to claim, we shall never stop to claim them as independent territory, as the sovereign territory of Ukraine.
All right. Appreciate you joining us, Ms. Sovsun. We wish you luck, fortitude as you go ahead. It's a crisis that we're going to be covering very closely right now.